Close your eyes for a second. Imagine waking up at 3 in the morning. Your phone is screaming emergency alerts. The wind outside isn't just howling, it's roaring like something alive, something angry. You look outside your window, and the street you've lived on your entire life is already underwater. Your car is gone. Your neighbor's roof just flew off, and the news anchor on your TV, before the power cuts out completely, says 6 words that stop your heart. This is worse than Hurricane Katrina. Now open your eyes. Because what I just described is not a nightmare. It's not a movie plot. It is a very real, very calculated possibility that climate scientists, FEMA officials, and disaster experts have been warning about for years. And almost nobody is talking about it. So today, we are. What would actually happen if a storm on the scale of Hurricane Katrina, or worse, hit the United States again? And more importantly, are we even remotely ready for it? To understand where we're going, you have to understand where we've been. August 29th, 2005, Hurricane Katrina made landfall on the Gulf Coast with winds near 125 miles per hour. The storm surge, walls of ocean water pushed inland by the hurricane, reached up to 28 feet in some areas. 28 feet. That's a 3-story building made of water, moving toward you at full speed. The levees in New Orleans, which were supposed to protect the city, failed catastrophically. Within hours, 80% of the city was flooded. Over 1,800 people died. More than 1 million people were displaced. Entire neighborhoods that had existed for over a century were simply erased. The economic damage hit $125 billion, and the response from the government, federal, state, and local, was so disastrously slow and disorganized that it became a defining failure of American governance. People were stranded on rooftops for days. The elderly were left in nursing homes as water rose around them. Thousands were packed into the Superdome with no food, no water, no power, and no answers. The richest country in the world watched its own citizens suffer on live television and did almost nothing fast enough to matter. Now here's the question I want you to sit with for a moment. And I genuinely want to know what you think, so drop your answer in the comments. Do you believe America is better prepared for a major disaster today than it was in 2005? Think about it honestly. Not what politicians say, not what the government reports claim. What do you actually believe? In your gut. Because here's what the data says. In some ways, yes, things have improved. FEMA has better technology. Early warning systems are more sophisticated. Evacuation planning has been updated in many cities. But here's the part that keeps disaster experts up at night. The vulnerabilities haven't just stayed the same. In many critical ways, they have gotten dramatically worse. The Gulf Coast has lost over 2,000 square miles of coastal wetlands since the 1930s. Those wetlands act as a natural buffer. They absorb storm surge, slow down wind, and protect communities. They are nature's flood wall, and they are disappearing at a rate that no amount of concrete infrastructure can replace. On top of that, sea levels along the Louisiana coast have risen significantly, meaning any storm hitting that region today is starting from a higher baseline. The water doesn't have to work as hard to reach you anymore. It's already closer than it's ever been. And then there's the population issue. New Orleans was a city of about 480,000 people in 2005. Today, the greater Gulf Coast region has seen significant population growth across multiple states: Texas, Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. More people means more lives at risk, more cars trying to evacuate on the same roads, more hospitals that need to stay operational. More nursing homes, more schools, more families with no car, no savings, and no place to go. When researchers model a Katrina-scale hurricane hitting the Gulf Coast today, the numbers are staggering. We're not talking about 1,800 deaths. Under certain scenarios, with the right track and the right timing, experts have estimated potential death tolls that could reach into the tens of thousands. And the economic damage. Some models suggest a direct hit on a major metropolitan area could exceed $500 billion, $500 billion, from one storm. But let's make this even more real. Because Katrina wasn't just a New Orleans story, And a future catastrophic hurricane wouldn't just be a Gulf Coast story either. Think about what happens in the first 72 hours after a Category 5 hurricane makes landfall on a densely populated coastline today. Cell towers go down immediately. Millions of people lose all communication. No texts, no calls, no internet, no way to find their families. Hospitals, which are already overwhelmed and understaffed in normal times, are suddenly dealing with mass casualties while running on backup generators that were only designed to last 96 hours. Fuel runs out within days because the supply chain is completely severed. Grocery stores, which operate on just-in-time inventory systems, are emptied within hours before the storm even arrives. And then the looting begins. And then the disease begins. Standing floodwater becomes a breeding ground for bacteria, chemicals, sewage, and pathogens within 48 hours. After Katrina, dozens of people died not from the storm itself, but from infections they got wading through contaminated water trying to survive. Now here's something I think about a lot, and I want to know if you've ever thought about this too. Comment below. If a hurricane like this hit your city or a city near you tomorrow, how many days could you actually survive on what you have at home right now? Be honest. Most Americans have less than 3 days of food and water stored. Most have no emergency plan. Most have never even had a conversation with their family about what to do if the power goes out for 2 weeks. That's not a criticism. It's just the reality of how modern life is set up. We are built for convenience, not resilience, and the problem goes even deeper than individual preparedness, because one of the most devastating aspects of Katrina, one that doesn't get talked about enough, was how it exposed the brutal intersection of poverty and disaster. The people who died in the greatest numbers were not the people who failed to prepare. They were the people who had no resources to prepare with. They were the elderly woman on a fixed income who couldn't afford a hotel room 200 miles away. They were the family of 5 with 1 car and no credit card who couldn't fill the gas tank and buy food for a week on the road. They were the communities that had been systematically underinvested in for decades, with crumbling infrastructure, underfunded emergency services, and zero political power to demand better. Katrina didn't just reveal a weather problem, it revealed a society problem. And 20 years later, that society problem has not been solved. In many places, it's gotten worse. So what would actually be different if this happened again? Well, social media would change the information landscape completely, both for better and for worse. In 2005, people were desperate for any information. Today, within minutes of a storm making landfall, there would be thousands of videos, live streams, and real-time updates flooding every platform. That sounds helpful, but it also means misinformation spreads at the exact same speed as real information. In a crisis, false evacuation routes, wrong shelter locations, and rumors of violence can cost lives just as surely as wind and water. We saw this during Hurricane Harvey in 2017, when social media was both a lifeline and a source of dangerous misinformation simultaneously. The tool is powerful, but it is not automatically good. There's another dimension to this that I think deserves its own conversation, and again, tell me in the comments what you think. Should the federal government be doing more right now, today, to harden coastal cities against the next major storm? Because right now, the Netherlands, a country that sits largely below sea level, has invested billions in some of the most sophisticated flood defense systems in the world. They have movable surge barriers, reinforced dunes, smart levees, and an entire national culture built around water management. Meanwhile, cities like Miami, Houston, and New Orleans are still patching aging infrastructure with limited budgets and political gridlock. The technology to protect these cities exists. The question is whether the will and the money exists alongside it. Here's the uncomfortable truth that ties all of this together. Hurricane Katrina was not a freak accident. It was a predictable disaster that happened because of predictable failures in infrastructure, in governance, in equity, and in our collective refusal to take warning seriously until it was too late. And every single one of those failure points still exists today. The storms are getting stronger. The seas are rising. The coastlines are more populated than ever. and the political will to make serious, expensive, long-term investments in protection and preparedness is as fragile as it has ever been. We had a warning in 2005, a warning written in 1,800 lives and a drowned city. The question, the one that should genuinely keep every single one of us awake, is whether we needed that warning, learned from it, and acted on it, or whether we watched, grieved, forgot, and moved on. Because the next Katrina is not a matter of if. Every climate scientist will tell you that. It is purely, entirely, terrifyingly a matter of when. And when that storm comes, and it will come, the difference between a tragedy and a catastrophe will come down to choices that are being made right now, today, in city councils and congressional hearings and engineering offices and emergency management budgets that most people will never read and never think about until the water is at their door. So tell me, and I mean this genuinely, leave it in the comments, what do you think needs to change most? The infrastructure, the government response, the way we talk about climate, or something else entirely? Because if we don't answer that question before the storm, we'll spend the rest of our lives answering it after.